In the year 1997, the future is in chaos and turmoil. Mankind is on the brink of extinction. Brave survivors band together and build a time displacement apparatus to receive a signal from a parallel future. This transmission is the Vundacast.
Welcome to the Vundacast, the official podcast of Vundablog.com, the home of UFF8 coverage this year. Our short film toy vlog hunt is in the Unnamed Footage Festival, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with fellow filmmaker Michael Ruck, who is rocking the Unnamed Footage Festival with his film, The Ruck March. Not the Rock March, but the Ruck March. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good. And I realized I messed up with the title. It could have been The Rock March. Would have been awesome.
Yeah, I think people might have been like, is he a little narcissistic if you did that? I don't know. I think keeping it, like keeping it mysterious like that, and
yeah.
There's an ominousness about the word ruck,
Right. Yeah.
I'd never heard of the term till the film, so it's a totally
really?
new concept to me. Yeah, I got out of exercising very quickly. Those are for other folks.
Yeah. Rucking is a military term, basically going on a hike with a heavy backpack. So,
Yeah.
but this incorporates a little bit more than hiking with a heavy backpack.
So this part of the interview is going to be no spoilers for the film, and then the back half, maybe we can get into some spoilers if that's okay.
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah. So, how did you? How long was like the pre-production process to make the Ruck March? Like when did the idea strike you to like when you were able to start filming and stuff?
Man, so a quick little backstory on me that led me to the creation of the Ruck March was I was a U.S. Army Green Beret, and I medically retired in 2014. During my retirement process, I was recruited into what I do now, and now I take down pedophiles using computer forensics. So, I'll hit a guy's house. I'll hit a pedophile's house. I'll take his computers, his phones, stuff like that, and I'll go through all of his stuff and basically make like a nice little package to get him prosecuted and put in prison. So at work every day, I have to look at the worst of the worst that humanity has to offer.
Well,
as far as happening to children. Yeah. So it takes a toll. So one day while I was at work, a buddy of mine came to me. He said, "Hey Mike, are you doing this Ruck event that's coming to Reno?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And so he told me about it. And so I looked up the company and I saw it was a company started by another Green Beret. And all the cadre, all the people that led the events, the rucking events, were current or former military special operations guys like myself. So Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
So I sent them an email and I said, "Hey, I'm one of you guys. I want to be part of this." And so for 5 years, as a little side hustle, I started leading these Ruck March events. And very quickly, I realized that it's given me the mental balance that I need. So yeah, I'm saving kids and putting away pedophiles over here, but it's also destroying my mind. So on the ruck side of things, I would take out civilians and I would teach them stuff like survival skills, spycraft, military history, and then also challenge them mentally and physically. And so that gave me the balance that I need. and it was an amazing time. I retired from that after about 5 years because my body just couldn't take it. Because, like I said, I'm medically retired. I'm 100% disabled. Now, when I'd be running these ruck marches, I take people out in the middle of nowhere. So they wouldn't have cell phones, no smartwatches, no way to communicate with the outside world. And they just have to say, or they just have to do what I tell them to do. So you have all these people trusting this random guy out in the middle of nowhere that's beating them down with, 100-pound sandbags and a bunch of exercises, who takes their food, doesn't allow them to eat food for, 12 hours. And so one of these days while I was out there, I was like, wow, you know what? This would be a really cool horror movie. Like, so much stuff can happen to a massive group of people out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's fertile
And
ground.
yeah, yeah. And so after I retired from running the ruck marches, I still need a mental balance. So I decided to get into acting. And after a few years of being an actor and then later on a filmmaker, I was like, wow, you know what? I need to make a horror movie based off of this ruck marching stuff. And so one day I just decided to pull the trigger, and I contacted some folks, and I put a script together and an outline and everything, and I was off and running. And some of the people in the movie are actually people that would travel the country and join me on these ruck marches. They would put all their trust in me that this guy, this former Green Beret, wasn't going to kill them out in the middle of nowhere. So, so I decided to bring some folks along. I was like, as kind of like a thank you for trusting me over the years.
Hmm.
And so they were super part of it. So it was a great time.
Wow, that is like the most amazing backstory for this movie. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
God, sounds like its own documentary in and of itself. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of layers to this parfait of Mike Rock. So yeah.
Whoa, dude. Eh, First of all, thank you for your service. Thank you for your
No, I
filmmaking.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Um, me on the podcast, we're big Adam Driver fans, and one of Adam Driver's charities was based around bringing acting to veterans and to active duty soldiers as a way of them to be able to deal with emotions and
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
achieve some healing and stuff like that through that. So I think it's really cool that that's a path that you've gone down. um
Yeah. Yeah, I needed once I retired from doing the ruck stuff, running the ruck marches, like I said, I needed something completely opposite from what I do from work. And acting gives me that. It lets me completely escape my work environment, and I can become a different character. I can become a good guy, bad guy, just complete transform, take my mind out of all the real life dark horrors that I have to see all day.
uh,
Like as soon as this interview is done,
mhm,
that's where I'm going.
that sucks.
You know?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Well, so let me make you laugh a little bit then, and
Yeah.
lighten the
Yeah.
mood here. I enjoyed the Ruck March so much. It was my one of my favorite movies is From Dusk Till Dawn. Uh
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I love movies that start off as one thing and then turn into a completely other thing.
Yeah.
And I think the Ruck March delivers that. Like right from the jump, there's a sense of tension and foreboding, and we know that we're gonna get to at least, some sort of massacre or something.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
such a great way to open the film with a bang. Um, and then we meet our protagonist. I had the pleasure of watching your performance in The Summer We Died when I attended the Skater Die Film Festival in Pottstown, PA.
Nice.
And so I was familiar with some of the actors you were using and stuff. So it was nice to see, the new shades to these actors.
Yeah.
And I like that you guys have like this little horror dads like ensemble that you're building. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So my oftentimes partner Dylan Brown, who we made the Tao Joe series with, and who directed The Summer We Died. When I first met him, he gave me my first role in a movie. I was the character called Ghost in his movie The Flock. And with The Flock, he used traditional casting. So he put out like auditions and stuff like that, had like a casting agent and everything like that. And a lot of those people, um, he never wanted to work with again. you know. And so when he met me though, he saw that I was a little bit different. I wasn't like a prima donna, and whatever was needed, he would get for me. I wouldn't complain about shooting conditions or anything like that. And so then after The Flock, he liked working with me so much, he asked me to be part of a passion project of his called Sao Joe, which is about a Bigfoot in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And so I hopped on board with that, and we just had a blast filming. And we needed certain characters. And so from there, I was like, hey, well, I have a guy for this. I have a guy for this. I have a girl for this. And so this made the process so much easier. And it was so fun. It was so fun. Like casting real life friends and family for our movies made everything so much more fun. And from then on, we decided that's how we're going to cast. We're not going to put out casting calls. We're not going to hit up talent agencies, stuff like that. We're going to cast people from like word of mouth or people that we know in real life. And since then, we have a handful of actors that we'll try to incorporate as much as possible because we actually really like these people. It's kind of like how Adam Sandler does it, you know?
Mhm.
Like he has a bunch of his real life friends and family in his movies. And I always say, if one of us makes it, then we all make it. And that's the thing. Like none of us are big time yet, but maybe somebody will see one of our performances or one of our movies and we'll get that big break and then we'll go big time. And it's because they were all part of this tight-knit group of filmmakers and actors.
And then how cool you have all this like back catalog of stuff hypothetically for people to immerse themselves in and enjoy and see the process. Uh
Yeah.
so so how long did it take to like finish an outline for the movie and be like, all right, we're shooting now? Like what was like pre-production like?
So pre-production, I spent I spent a few days just creating an outline and creating a script and stuff like that. I casted my actors and actresses. Um, that whole process, the script, the outline, and casting, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 days tops.
Okay.
Yeah, I had this thought in my head for many many years, so I knew kind of what I wanted to do, and so that was pretty easy. And then the next part was getting all the moving pieces together. So for the big finale, I had people come from all over. I'm in Reno, Nevada. We filmed a lot of it in Fallon, Nevada, which is about an hour and 15 minutes away from me. But we also had people from the Bay Area of California, which is about 4 hours from me. And one of my cousins flew in from Florida. So I had to make sure everybody was good to go. Everybody can get here at the same time. That final shoot was, I think there was maybe 25 people total on
Whoa.
set. Marching through the darkness of the desolate Nevada desert. Um, Before that, though, there was 2 other filming days, and it was a very minimal cast. The 2 female leads. One of my buddies, Shane, uh, he appeared as well,
So
and
it's a
so
3-day shoot?
total filming
Basically?
was 3 days. Yeah,
Whoa, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
And that final shoot was very rewarding, um, but it was very stressful because I knew I had one shot at this, right? So we started filming in Fallon, Nevada at about, I think it was 4 p.m. and I wanted to ensure everybody is wrapped and good to go by like 1 a.m. And we finished shooting, it was like 12:55 a.m.
Hmm.
So, there was a lot of shooting, a lot of shots that we had to get in. And at the same time, so I'm not only acting in this, I'm directing this, I'm making sure, the cameraman is getting the shots that's needed. Trying to ensure everybody's safety because again, we're marching in a desert at nighttime. Some people have headlamps, some people don't. So I'm trying to make sure these people don't die.
So you're checking every take, like in full out
Yeah,
there? Yeah.
yeah, yep, yeah. So we'll do a scene. I'll check it. We'll do it a couple more times, until I'm satisfied, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Okay. So usually it's your last take that usually is the one you're gonna go with, maybe.
Sometimes,
Sometimes.
sometimes I'll use my first take.
Okay. Just
You
depends.
know, sometimes like I really like the first take, but
Yeah, you
just in case, I always do at least 3 takes of something, just to make sure, and maybe I'll like something in the first take and I'll like something in the last take. So I'll find a way to kind of seamlessly splice those two things together. But fortunately, it was a good shoot, man. It was a good shoot. We had a lot of fun. It was high stress, but it was still pretty fun.
How do you like prep all of your actors? Like, do you give them all like, like something to like read before they start, like about their characters, or do you let them create that on their own? Like, how does
So
that process work?
So with the Ruck March, it has some twists and turns in there. So most of the actors didn't know. They
Hmm.
basically just trusted me. Like I said, there was a handful of these people that would go on Ruck marches when I used to lead them, and I, I always told them this one thing before I started the Ruck March: trust your cadre, right? Because the way I roll is I'll keep stuff hidden. I won't tell you my whole plan, but I promise you everything that I do is for a reason. Every little minute movement that we do is supposed to be there.
Well,
And these people knew that. Yeah, these people knew that. So they were like, we're just going to roll with Mike and whatever he wants to do, we're going to do. And we're not going to complain about anything because he has a plan.
no, but that's
Yeah.
genius on your part because if you had hired actors, then you have to treat them like actors out there. You know what I mean? And they have all these expectations of themselves. But these people already had the expectations from working with you before, so you're not even like, changing the circumstances they're used to, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Now, some of the folks out there were actual actors and they weren't used to this stuff.
Okay.
And so what was funny is in between takes, and there was a point in time where we had to wait around for a little while for it to get really dark. One of my buddies who has been on a handful of my ruck marches and has just gone through hell because of what I put him through. He would sit there and he would tell horror stories to the actors about the stuff that he would have to do because of me. And these people were like, dude, what the hell? Why the hell would you do this? This sounds like a terrible idea. Like my buddy Keith, he's in a movie and he was also the set medic as well. There was one ruck march that I led. We started off with a test. I started off with a test. So he had to go 12 miles on his own within a certain time limit. And when he got done, his feet were completely shredded. Like his feet were raw. So he had to
Wow.
bandage up his feet and stuff like that. And at the end of that, we still had 13 hours to go in the event. And he still made it. He still made it to the end. This is going up hills with 100-pound sandbags and being dunked in freezing water, stuff like that, a bunch of exercises. So this guy, he would tell these actors all these horror stories, and they were blown away. They were like, okay, well, this isn't that bad. We're getting breaks, and he's not killing us. So we're cool. We're just gonna shut our mouths and keep on acting.
That's it. You should do a version of you should remake the Ruck March but then you should really torture the people, and then
Yeah.
there's no twist at all. The completely shoot documentary.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone's bleeding. Okay, well, so so how long was your post-production process to cut it all together?
So post-production actually took a good while because before I did the Ruck March, a few days before I finished, um, um, I'm sorry, before a few days before I filmed the final Ruck March scene, I finished up my movie. It's called The Murder of the Monster. It was
Well,
my first solo written and directed film. It's found footage, and it has to do with domestic violence. And I realized that as a filmmaker, yeah, I like to have fun, go out there, make some fun movies and stuff like that. But I also realized as a filmmaker, I can use it as a tool to bring awareness and stuff like that. And so because of my life and what I have to do for work and stuff like that, I see a lot of terrible things, a lot of abuse, stuff like that. And so I wanted to make a movie on domestic violence. And it's a hard watch, man. It's a punch in the gut. It's a
wow,
punch in the gut. When I
I
had
want to see
when I
that.
had a screening of it, yeah, when I had a screening of it at my house,
Mm-hmm.
at the end, there was a mixture of people sobbing, silence, and people just hugging each other. It was rough. But at the end they said, "Thank you for making that." And this movie, it took such a mental toll on me, just such a physical toll on me.
How
That combined with filming, what's that?
how long did it take you to make that film?
That one, it took me a lot longer than I first anticipated. Uh, it was supposed to be maybe like a 2-month total shoot, filmed over this is a handful of days, but it took me about 5 months.
Oh,
And the reason for that is because it does show some abuse. And after the first scene that I filmed that had abuse in it, I saw how messed up the actors were because of it. The entire cast of that movie are some of the sweetest people I know in real life.
mm-hmm.
They're all friends. And to see what it did to those people, I was like, okay, we need to take a long mental break. Like the lead actress and the lead male, the lead actor, it took them about a month and a half until they were ready to see that scene, that first scene of abuse.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was an emotional toll. It was very draining. Um, and I made the
So,
movie, but if I never have to see that movie again, I'll be good.
so by comparison, the Ruck March is like a Disney movie.
Yeah, yeah. It's wild, man. It's wild. So a movie about a whole bunch of people going out to the desert and getting killed is a lot more fun and entertaining and happy than a movie about domestic violence, you know?
Well,
Yeah. And so after all that stuff, I needed a break. And so after I finished filming the Ruck March, I didn't touch anything for about 3 months.
okay, let's seamlessly transition into a plug here, and then we'll talk some spoilers.
All right.
So, share screen. So this is the beautiful website for UFF8. Let's click over here. And where do we have it? It's in the shorts and blocks. The Ruck March. And here is our. Wait, am I sharing sound? Hold on. JK, share sound. Sure. And let's check out the trailer.
We'd like to get a little video of everyone before we head on out there and basically want to know your name and your why for being out here today.
Hi guys, my name is Cami. I decided to come out here today and test myself to my limits while my husband stayed at home and watched our kid.
Let's get it. Let's do this. Only 3 weeks till I get to die in a desert, so might as well train for it.
But I used to be in really good shape, so I wanted to prove I could do it again. So for the last 2 months, I've been getting myself back out in shape, and now I'm gonna test it and see how we do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The good news is, I know what happened to the people that went missing.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
And that is the trailer for the Ruck March. It is playing. Calendar. On Thursday, the 27th, at the recalibration party. Is it playing twice, or is it just playing that once? I thought it was playing twice.
Just playing that once.
Okay.
Yeah. So it plays at the party, kind of setting the tone for the party. So I'm super pumped, man. Yeah.
That is badass. We're now in the spoiler zone. Do the people elect to do it to themselves? I'm gonna close it out with, do you have one question for me about my film, Toy Vlog Hunt? Also playing at UFF8 on Saturday at 3:25 p.m. with Leech.
That was very entertaining. I really enjoyed that. Especially, I'm 45, so like, I'm big on like toys from the 80s and stuff like that. Like,
And okay. Thank you so much, Michael Rock. This was so much fun.
You're very welcome.
I look forward to talking with you again.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here? You want to plug your YouTube channel, Willow Rock Productions?
You search me on YouTube, Willow Rock Productions. I'm on Instagram, Cadre Mike Rock. On Facebook is Michael Rock. And I'll be at the Unnamed Footage Fest from March 27th and the 28th. So if you go there and you're around, hit me up. I would love to meet folks and shoot the breeze a little bit, find out more about people that watch my crappy movies.
That's awesome, dude. I have been Steven. And remember, kids, when you're at Unnamed Footage Festival, take a lot of pictures and post them with hashtags so people can see the results. And then I will be seeing that from afar and being very happy. So thank you so much, and boom.
Hail Vunder. Hail Vunder.
Vundacast? Give it up for Vundacast, man. What an adorable name.
You're listening to the Vundacast.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Vundacast.
You can find it at Vundacast, and I know they love Effie.
I'd like to close this out by urging everyone to go over to Vundablog.com, and you'll see on all of our recent podcasts, and once I post this up there, there will be a link to D-Rock's Patreon account for ad infinitum.
Oh, why'd you start linking my Patreon exactly when I stopped updating?
Oh no! Never mind!
You can also...
No, I'm gonna update it soon, I am. Because Halloween-a-thon's almost over. I've been busy with Halloween-a-thon, so...
You
Sorry,
can
everybody.
also support the Ringing Rocks roller rink and their GoFundMe to improve their local facility. You can check us out at Vundacast on TikTok and on Twitter. And thank you for joining us on YouTube.
Subscribe to the Vundacast.